In Toronto's North End is Downsview Park, a former military base turned urban park. It's an unlikely location for an organic farm. There's a strip mall about 100 meters away, and you can hear the cars whizzing by on Keele Street. But this is where Fresh City has put down roots, occupying a single greenhouse and 6 acres of farmland. The organic commercial farm was established in 2011 by Rand Goal, believing that Torontonians should be able to have fresh local groceries delivered to their doorsteps. Today, Fresh City employs 15 staff and over 20 member farmers who feed nearly 1,000 customers per week. Rand didn't set out to be a farmer, but some food for thought swayed him to make a career change.
So I went to law school here in Toronto, and then I moved to New York right at the sort of height of the crisis. Right before the crisis started. I practiced there for 4 years. And I always, even going into it, I knew I wanted to do something else. I didn't want to practice law indefinitely. And I started reading about food. So like almost everyone's journey these days started from Michael Pollan's Omnivore's Dilemma. So I read that, and I started reading a lot of other books. And I realized a lot of other issues that I was passionate about, whether it's access to food, whether it's environmental issues, climate change, things like that, all kind of came together with food.
Rand soon became intrigued by the practice of urban farming and its social, health, and economic impacts.
I really like that idea of like changing people's minds, no matter whether they're like, far left hippies or they're like right-wing dogmatists. Food could sort of change a lot of people's minds, and through that, it's like I see it as a gateway to a lot of other issues that we face.
The idea of urban farming wasn't entirely foreign to Rand. His grandparents grew up in Israel, where there is a long-standing tradition of community-based farming. He decided to set up a business of his own in Toronto, growing organic produce and using delivery to sell it. But farming within city limits doesn't come without challenges.
Well, honestly, I think every city needs more food grown in the city, both for the reasons of producing food in the city travels less, but more importantly, an educational plan. So I think any city, by definition, needs it because most people living in the city don't really have the material connection to farming. Toronto is a particularly exciting city to work in because it has a good critical mass, but it's also kind of at the cutting edge of the food movement, at least in North American terms. So there's been a lot of really pioneering work here on the nonprofit side. The city is becoming more and more receptive, and Torontonians are generally open to new ways of getting their food. In our case, we deliver, right? So most people are not used to that. So I think there is an openness here.
Fresh City is home to the largest greenhouse-based aquaponics system in Ontario. Aquaponics is essentially fertilizing with fish poop. Water from the fish tanks is circulated through tubes and fed to a grow bed of herbs and greens whose roots are suspended in the nutrient-rich solution.
So what we have here are 150 tilapia, and we have 2 of these tanks. The reason we choose tilapia is both because they're they can deal with a pretty wide range of temperatures, so both our winter and our summer. So even though this is a heated space, there are still differentials between the winter and the summer, and they grow really fast, which means they poop a lot, which is what the plants need.
Hydroponic agriculture has recently gained popularity as a means of feeding city dwellers. These indoor growing centers occupy very little space and utilize artificial light to cultivate crops. However, Rand does not see hydroponics as a viable solution for sustaining our growing population.
I guess the first thing to say about hydroponics is it can only really cater to a very small percentage of our produce needs, or our calorie needs. So over here you see, for example, greens. So greens grow well in aquaponics and hydroponics. But the vast majority of what we eat does not grow well in hydroponics yet.
The farm is transforming Toronto's urban agriculture scene in more ways than one. Through its member farmer program, Fresh City connects urban farmers to land, facilities, and a supportive learning community. This year, there are 25 member farmers who come from a variety of backgrounds.
And the way it works now is basically each member farmer gets between 1,000 to 5,000 square feet, depending on how senior they are and how much land they want. We provide them the space in the greenhouse for seedlings, and access to tools like you see the rototiller back there, seeders and things like that. And in return, we get a half a day labor per week.
The fruits of this labor are quite literal. Every week, Fresh City delivers a wooden box of local and organic groceries to each of its customers. Through partnerships with other vendors, Fresh City is able to offer seasonal fruit, vegetable, and recipe bags, with the option to add in other items like bread, cheese, and eggs. The company has grown exponentially, fueled by a demand among consumers for fresh, local ingredients. When he started Fresh City Farms, it was Rand's intent to change people's minds about the food we eat, and it seems like he's succeeding, one box at a time.